So there's something cool on this new Bushido Plus that I hope we see in future Element RC releases. I'm going to tell you what that is in a little bit. I'm also going to tell you about the features of this short wheelbase 4x4 off-road ready to run. I'm going to go over the differences between it and the other Bushidos, and then I'm going to head outside for a little bit of off-road trail fun. Here's the Plus right out of the box, looking really good. It's painted in this light dust blue, I would say, very appropriate for the 1980s Suzuki Samurai that it's loosely based off of. It's a 1/10 scale model, however it looks pretty big in comparison to some of the other Element RC rigs that are out there. But you know, if you're looking for that unique off-roader, this definitely fits the bill. I like that they have molded windshield wipers and molded mirrors that actually fold over, but they are a little loose. They got a nice roll bar out back, and then some molded elements up front like the grille and actually headlight buckets and replaceable lenses. And with this model, you do get LED lights in the front and in the back. They have molded taillight buckets. You can see the screws on the exterior that hold them in, but they've got LED lights in there, so at least the front and rear light up. Now, one of the changes to this Bushido is the spare tire. It's actually a fake spare tire. It's just a Lexan shroud, and it's got this fabric tire cover. So it's nice and lightweight, gives you the appearance of a spare tire without all that weight just hanging down off the back of the thing. The only thing is if you dent this in, it's really hard to kind of fix it. So you have to take the whole thing off and lightly push it all back on. Only a little downside to that, but it does look very cool. Then there's the large tube bumper up front with grill guard and fake lights. Then a matching tube bumper in the rear, and they even have a little ball stud for a trailer hitch. There's rock sliders on the side of the rig with a little channel that the body fits in. And then there's clear windows, which is great because they now have an interior, and that's the feature I was talking about before. I really like that they've come up with an interior painted black. It's like a matte black. They've got a bunch of decals in there to finish it off. They've got steering wheel, shifter, and the driver is molded into the interior, but at least the head is separate, so you could actually go and pull it off so you could paint him up. He's looking a little pale in there. Guy definitely needs a little finishing work with some model paints. All right, let's pop the body off, take a look at the inside really quick. There's the rear bracing actually for the taillights and the spare tire. There's your interior and then the headlights up front. Now the chassis is going to look very familiar. It's just like the short wheelbase Enduro that I showed you when I reviewed the original Bushido. But let's go over it really quick. Metal frame rails, composite shock perches, got floor pans on each side. It's fitted with the stubby battery tray, but they also give you the standard battery tray in the kit. Velcro straps to hold down the battery packs. Cross bracing throughout. The bumpers are adjustable, so if you want to slide those out in, you'll be able to do that. There's a front plate that supports the chassis mounted steering servo, and you could also throw a winch servo in next to it. Let's actually move on to the suspension. So this is what I like to see from Element. We've got their aluminum shocks, oil filled, feel really nice from the factory. And then this is a little bit of a change here from the original Bushido. They have high clearance links in the front and rear of the suspension. So there's a 3-link setup in the front, 4 in the rear, but I like that they've gone to the high clearance now. I mean, this thing did pretty well because it's a short wheelbase, you know, over the rocks. Now you got that extra clearance just to help you, navigate through whatever terrain you're driving on. Next up, let's talk about the driveline on this. So they have the Stealth X transmission. If you don't know about this is a really cool transmission setup. Very adjustable. You could actually turn the transmission around. You will need an additional top shaft to do that, but you have the option of changing up the position. You could change up the gear ratio inside. So it's set up from the factory with a front overdrive, and then they give you additional gears so you could alter that. Those are included in the kit. You could have it set up so it just drives 50-50. So you got a lot of adjustability with this. And then they have their telescoping drive shafts with the aluminum center section. Always love seeing that. Nice metal CV joints in the front and rear of those. And then we go down to the Element axles. So these are a proven setup. Metal gears on the inside, ball bearings, metal shafts out to the wheels, 12mm hexes. And then up front, they have universals out at the steering knuckles. You can actually see the bearings there too. And that'll allow you to have the 45 degrees of steering. The knuckles have nice metal plates on the top that the steering attaches to. And as you can see, it's a behind the axle steering setup. So you've got your link running through the back instead of in the front where, on a lot of trucks it bashes into the rocks. And then there's, metal links, of course, for the steering. They even have a metal servo arm on the servo. Good stuff. We've seen this before from Element RC. Now let's get on to the electronics. They've got a Reedy metal geared servo. It is water resistant. And then for the motor, they've got the 5-slot 16-turn Reedy motor. Nice, smooth, plenty of torque for a can motor. Works well for just bombing around on the trails. And then they have the FlySky 2-in-1 unit. They've used this in a few of their newest models. It's actually wrong on the box. It shows the picture of this, but then it talks about the Reedy speed controller. This is the unit you're gonna get in the Plus. It's the FlySky FSR4D ESCBS. And what's neat about this, it's a 2-in-1. You can go and add a lot of additional LED lights to it. It is water resistant as well. And then for the radio system, that unit is coupled to the FlySky transmitter. And this transmitter is pretty cool because it's got the dip switches where you can go and adjust the drag brake, digital trims on that. Here's the instruction manual. You get some new decals. Here's the bag of extra goodies. There's even a snorkel in there and a receiver box. So not a ton of crazy changes in comparison to the other Bushido that we've tested here on the channel. I'll have a link up above to that. But before you watch that, let's head out to hit the trails. It's February, it's 45 degrees out, and I'm at one of my favorite trail spots where I take a bunch of rigs to run, and I thought it'd be perfect for the Bushido Plus. Conditions are looking good, guys. I might be here all day. Short wheelbase and 45 degrees of steering, this thing just turns really well. Two-in-one system with the 540 motor is pretty smooth. Let's see how slow we get this thing to crawl up. That's about as low as I could get on the throttle. And we just need a little traction. A little more speed. Find some track, there we go. I'll go back to slow crawl. That's as low as I could go with it.
This is actually one of my favorite spots on the trail. Unfortunately, everything's covered in leaves, but I'm gonna make the best of it. Look at that angle that thing is on right now. It wants to go over. Straighten the wheels out a little bit. Going through some roots. Love how much steering this has. Nice smooth throttle control. This is a good little truck.
You know, short wheelbase rigs are a lot of fun to drive. I'm surprised we don't see more people talking about it. Maybe because there's such a limited selection of body styles that are available for short wheelbase rigs, but they have their advantages. One of them is steering. I mean, with the shorter wheelbase, these things steer really well, especially when it's coupled with 45 degrees of steering angle like you find on the Element and Enduro platform. I was really impressed how I could scoot this through winding trees and through rock obstacles. It steers really well. Even with that stock servo in there, I had a lot of fun just wheeling this thing through the trails. Element RC has some really good ready to run shocks. And now with the high clearance links, I mean, nothing was really holding this up when I was going through the rocky sections over tree roots and other debris that was on the paths. So it's a very capable truck. And then with the overdrive and the smooth throttle feel of it, it's just a really fun drive. Where it starts to lack is with stability. And of course, with a shorter wheelbase, it kind of throws the center of gravity a little bit higher. So when you're trying to, side hill this thing, it's gonna wanna roll over on you. If you're ascending a really steep incline, it's gonna wanna roll back on you. But overall, the short wheelbase Bushido, it's just a lot of fun. They have the white one, the green one, and those are the same. And then there's a few tweaks that they have on the Plus version, the high clearance links, the spare tire out back, the interior, that just boost the fun a bit more. There's a couple little things I would have liked to have seen them do here, and one of them is give us inner fender wells. Now we have an interior white it and they seal off the inner fenders for us. There are options out there where you could go and get the inner fenders and do it yourself, but it would have been nice to see on this ready to run. The other thing I would have really liked is actually one extra foam tire insert, and that is for the spare tire. When you go and pick up an RC car, you always pick it up from the front and back. And what I found myself doing was pushing in that tire cover, and it would just collapse, and I'd have to take it off and reset it, and I'd put it back down, and inevitably I'd push it in again. So if they just gave us a foam insert for the back, it helps prevent that from collapsing and just looks really good in your video, or just when you're out on the trails having fun with it. But overall, it's neat to see a little bit of progression here, something just a little bit different from Element RC. They're constantly giving us those extras to have fun. There's also a garage inside of the box like they normally do. I'm not gonna rip my box apart because I have so many Element RC garages. I don't need another one. But again, so much fun with this brand. They do an awesome job, and it's nice to see that they made some tweaks here. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. I'll have links in the video description, and we'll see you guys back soon for some more RC driver videos.